You always told me there's power in creating.
Power to grow hope.
Power to inspire.
Power to overcome fear.
And while I know you meant art,
some work born from a driven, fevered, uncontrollable obsession.
There is power in every forge.
whether in friendship,
Forming a plan.
Gathering in grief.
There's simply the unwillingness to give in.
There's power in creating.
And there's power in me, too.
Our scene opens watching helicopter blades spin in slow motion. Gradually, the focus shifts and we see through the helicopter blades. We see through them to a woman, sort of hugging herself in an arms crossed stance. Her hair is blowing from the wind and the force that the blades sort of produce as they are slowing down. We see her face clearer once the camera focuses fully. We see Dakota standing, watching the blades. Elle and Aaron are standing not far behind her, and Elle is helping to explain to the medics what exactly happened with Aaron's leg and how it was treated. We see Elle glancing back at Dakota often for help or assurance that the right things are being said, but Dakota just stares. Nancy and Joy find themselves being greeted with the most care or warmness, I guess, if that makes sense. Nancy takes Joy under her arm and they head in together, deeper into the ship to get clothes, food, shelter. Nancy stops just before the door to kind of look back and catch the eyes of Yasmin. She gives a knowing and thankful nod, and you almost see this like physical sigh of relief before she heads inside. And with that, the camera kind of pans over to Darren and Yasmin. Darren sits while a medic takes the bandage from his eye and begins to inspect his wound. Yasmin is speaking with another officer who just finished collecting all of the weapons that you may have taken. They're going to be cleaned, inspected, added to the armory, making sure they're in proper working condition. They are careful to also take any melee weapons you may have stashed. They explain more for the safety of others on the ship. They don't know what sort of reactions could be triggered from you, and they want to make sure everyone is as safe as possible. The officers and soldiers have assured you that it is as safe as it can be here. They have running water, you can shower, they have light, power. You have also been instructed to, if you still have them, charge your phones. Is there any information on them that would be useful to them, could lead them to, are there any areas that maybe you heard from survivors and they can go check those areas? There are many, like, tell us as much as you can about where you want us to check, and they are making note of that. Locations of other survivors, addresses of loved ones even. They are collecting everything that they can to relay back to the groups that are doing ground sweeps. While you understand some of it might not be on the top of the priority list, it all gets listed. They want to reconnect as many families as possible. Looking around, everyone here, I mean, most of them are alone. You're hearing all of these words that should inspire hope. Hope. The banner that hangs on the safe house building from where you came from. A building labeled Hope that housed nothing but gut-wrenching realizations and reveals. You've all got a bit of a bad taste in your mouth about hope. But upon asking, they have told you that they plan on doing another round of pickups after about another 3 days at all safe points. So at least your banner could do some good. If there's anyone still around to see it, the banner could do some good. After receiving more medical care and being checked for bites, you are all brought in to get cleaned up. Like, you're offered any help if you need it. You're given any additional medical aid that you might need in terms of like painkillers or antibiotics. Darren is now fitted with a clean and more secure eye patch. Aaron's leg is patched up with proper equipment, and you've been given a wheelchair to use to stay off of it. An actual wheelchair, not previous versions of a wheelchair. The wheelchair that they managed to bring on board is a little small, but it works perfectly fine. Elle's arm is wrapped in a cast and a sling. And after cleaning up, they showed you 2 rooms with bunk beds that you're kind of able to claim. Each room has 4 beds total. There's a bunk bed on each side, and under the beds are chests where you can put any belongings you may have brought. They don't ask you to give up any of the supplies, like if you have food or rations or anything like that. They're not trying to take those from you. They understand those might be like a you took my weapons, these are mine sort of thing. That's a harmless thing for them to let you keep at the moment. And anything you have looted, you're allowed to keep on your person or in the chest if you'd like. You're not sure where Nancy and Joy ended up, but you know they've claimed a room somewhere. Maybe see them in passing. And you find yourselves not really wanting to stay closed up in a room after the few days that each of you have had. You're also all offered new clothing. It is your choice what that new clothing looks like. It can be a little more comfortable, maybe a little more practical than what you were wearing previously. And a note, as you're kind of like walking out of these sleeping quarters to get back up to fresh air, nothing about this place is screaming the military's in charge and now you're their prisoners or anything like that. Like, nothing about this is screaming anything negative. And any of the officers that you've talked to, they just seem just as tired and just as scared as you are. Some seem less knowledgeable than you. Some have probably been on this ship for the past 3 days. and they are just taking charge in a way that they were equipped to do so. That is the only difference that you are seeing. Anyone with medical experience is given a little, like, medical badge to sort of let others know, hey, I can help if you need it. So Yasmin would have one pinned to whatever clothing she chooses to put on after washing up. And as I'm handing over the floor, you will be on the deck of the ship. You have watched other helicopters land one by one. Groups of anywhere between like 4 to maybe 8 people getting off of these helicopters from various safe points across the city. Various wounds, various levels of exhaustion. And then the helicopters fly off again toward another direction, assuming to refuel or whatever it may be. As Yasmin, Darren, Aaron, and Elle are here on deck, please describe your characters and tell us what they are wearing now, how they're looking after being cleaned up.
So Yasmin has retied her scarf traditionally, and is wearing. So probably what happened, if we're honest, is Yasmin went, "Let me help. Let me go down to the medical bay and let me." And they were like, "You need to take a nap." Like they just were like, "You can, no, sit, stay." So she's probably very actively watching the helicopters to see if anybody gets off that looks injured, hurt, whatever, so she can like bolt to help. But she is wearing, I mean, comfortable but conservative clothing. As I said, retied everything, and just kind of a little nervously, she's nervous energy, I guess, if you will.
So first, Darren is wearing a oversized polo shirt and some awkward short shorts. Those were the best he could find. Not a lot of dress shirts, not a lot of snaz in this current circumstance. He has, like you said, a kind of fresh white bandage over his eye and is more put together than he's been in several days. Has his hair combed, not coiffed in the way that he would prefer. They didn't have any of his product either, which he took, all things considered, very well. And I think every time that a batch of helicopters come, Darren is getting as close as he can to people going off. Not just to see if he recognizes anyone, because I don't know if it's clear how big of a footprint these searches are, if it's just in the city, if it's the area, whatever. But he's keeping an eye out for anyone he knows, and also is keeping an eye out just to see how people are doing. Just observing the humanity pouring off the helicopters and seeing the state of the world and seeing how many people are getting off at each helicopter run. But dutifully goes every single time. Also with, I think, kind of a similar nervous energy as Yasmin, in that he wants to be useful, but there is nothing for him to be useful in this situation.
I think for Aaron is switch from oversized sweats to maybe some leggings, perhaps. Definitely not as kind of like everybody else, not as put together as she would be if it was just like an ideal situation, but definitely humbled in the events that they have come through. Chillin' in a very nice to her wheelchair, very excited to not have to rely on others as much. So I think that Aaron is just chilling and like they're just relaxing and taking a minute. No one's fussing with them. No one's trying to help them with anything. They feel a little bit, I mean, maybe Elle is, I don't know, but they feel a little bit less dependent. And so they're trying to just really like enjoy this time of like not being a burden to others at the moment.
To your point, Elle isn't fussing. They're just kind of hovering. They've changed into just some like basic jeans that are too big, so they're kind of cinched in with like a belt, and a sweatshirt that's a little too big as well. Their long dark hair is down for the first time, and kind of cascading over their shoulders. And they're kind of switching between like hovering around Aaron because that's kind of the only thing they've known for the last few days, and keeping an eye on every group of people that comes out and just jotting down the names as she hears them over the helicopter, just so there's a record for herself too, and trying to keep an eye out on the off chance that Claire's there.
Do the four of you interact at all?
Aaron is quiet probably for the first time ever. So.
Yasmin is definitely laser focused.
Yeah, I think Darren is torn between letting Yasmin is definitely the one that he's closest to, obviously, kind of in this group. And he's really torn a lot of directions. But I think at minimum, he tries to like keep an eye out for her just when she's not doing something else, and will just try to do small talk as best he can, check in, say what's going on, keep updates if she missed any helicopters, whatever.
Yeah, Elle's pretty quiet too. I think at that point of like, I'm so exhausted that if I open my mouth, I'll probably cry. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
We cut now to a helicopter in the sky. Rory, Dewey, and Burton. You are in a helicopter. Go ahead and describe your characters to us. How are they looking after previous events?
Rory looks about fairly the same as they had looked before. Slightly unscathed, looking better than the other two that are beside them, but still a little wary. Besides their mechanic's shirt, they now have a leather jacket over them, free, devoid of the cupboard door. And there is a golden pocket watch just clutched in their hand the entire time. Usual shaved head. Yeah, they are just sort of, I would say, probably sitting closest to, like, in the middle of Dewey and Burton, but closest to Dewey at the moment. And also keeping a sort of watchful eye on the other passenger.
Dewey is whether they're in their 30s, black, non-binary, kind of androgynous. They've got heavy bandages around one wrist, a heavily bandaged shoulder, an arm area, scratches on their face, pretty deep gouges, and a knee that looks extremely worse for wear. Their clothes are super tattered and torn. And they kind of have a relatively vacant stare. They're wearing kind of like a vest, like a tactical kind of thing that looks like it doesn't really belong on them. They've got kind of like very plain clothes, like button down, casual looking, like business casual clothes underneath. That clashes badly. And in their lap is a little girl, kind of clinging to them, holding on for like dear life as we just kind of fly to wherever is next.
Burton has like this kind of peach fuzz, not quite 5 o'clock shadow, and this kind of mop of messy brown hair and freckles. and is kind of, the two of you know that they're normally, very smiles and assuring that they've really got a little bit of a 1,000-yard stare. They have on kind of a leather jacket that's got like some military touches to it, and a big patch across the chest that says cornbread in large writing, and a scimitar sitting next to them as they kind of stare off. But anytime anyone speaks, they kind of snap to and are smiley and talky again, and then they just kind of fading off a little bit, very clearly lost in thoughts. And every so often you see them and very obviously chewing through a number of matchsticks.
The little girl sits very close to you, Dewey, still kind of like clutching onto your arm. And it's not a quiet ride by any means. I mean, helicopters are loud, but there's this constant noise that you're all almost kind of able to just focus out and just sit in this quiet. Until one of the people sitting beside you coughs. And you see just the smallest spatter of blood slap down onto the floor. Guns are immediately trained to position. You hear one person say, we checked him for bites. We checked him. He was clean. Burton, what are you doing?
Burton snaps to, and kind of that easygoing smile comes back over as they've got one hand kind of near their pistol, but is stepping forward. Hey there, friend. How you feeling?
He is like hunched over for a moment and kind of like sits up. Eyes are wide. He almost looks like he's choking, but every time he opens his mouth, a little bit more blood kind of coughs out. And then he looks up and he's like, I wasn't bitten, I swear. And like, it turns into this chorus of voices of people saying, I checked, I swear I checked. And him confirming, I don't have a bite, I'm not bitten. And then one person turns to the pilot and says, do not land. And you can see the helicopter, you can see the ship, but the helicopter is kind of veering off to begin to circle instead. And he's like, I'm not bit. And one of the other people says, Cornbread, check him, I'll cover you.
I'm gonna kneel down and, hey now, friend, I know you've gone through this. I just gotta do it again. Anything strange, anything weird, and I'm gonna keep talking to him as I'm doing this whole once over here.
Yeah, go ahead and make some kind of medicine roll.
Oh no, not a medicine roll. Don't make me do that, Carrie. That is a 2 under 80.
Okay, I see how today's gonna go.
Don't you fucking put that evil on us, Carrie.
Don't count on it.
I have played this game for too long and been fucked by dice too many times.
As you're looking this man over, he's no longer able to verbally answer you. You hear him, like, his teeth are clenched, and there's like this like sound of just pain that he's trying to stop in his throat, and you see him kind of reach down and clutch one of his sides as if his side is hurting. You immediately look. There's no bite. There's nothing. There's no sign of anything. And then you all watch in a matter of seconds, just a few seconds, you watch this man's limbs pulse and contract in strength, an intense strength. The jaw extends slightly and you hear muscles begin to rip. You hear joints crack.
Is he here with anyone? Is there anyone that he came in with? Sitting around him?
You don't believe so. And in this split second, you're watching as he is he is becoming a sickeningly familiar looking creature. One of the creatures you saw climbing the walls. A shriek.
We gotta keep him here. We gotta study him. Put him down.
As you're shouting this, your voice is drowned out by the shriek that just erupts from his throat as he writhes in agony, and then bang! A loud gunshot echoes out. It makes him twitch and stop moving, just for a moment. And then he lunges towards the one that shot him, slams into him. Make a, whatever it is to see things. Spot listen.
This is a 42 under 45.
Ooh.
Ooh, that counts though. Still counts.
Yeah.
That's a 69 over 58.
That's
That's
nice.
like 5 degrees, 6 degrees of failure.
Makes sense. As this man, now creature, lunges out at the one that shot him, just like latching on, and you just see an immediate bite on the face and the side of the neck, like ripping into the jaw. Blood begins just spurting out in that direction. And Rory, you're noticing that the elbow of this creature is being touched by sunlight. And it is burning. There is a sizzle. And there are blisters already forming on the elbow. What would the three of you like to do?
I'm immediately going to yell to everybody in the space. I'm gonna be like, "Get it in the sunlight! It's burning! Get it in the sunlight!" And then I'm gonna cock my shotgun and try and shoot at it.
I think I'm like doing everything I can to shield this little girl. Like I'm like leaning as far away as possible. Like I don't know if I'm on the outside or the inside of other people. But like yeah, I think that Rory was in between me and Burton. So like I'm like leaning like as far to the opposite side as I can with my shoulder kind of like covering and shielding her from this thing while they take care of it. Like I recognize that this is a small space. There's only so many hands that can
I'll also
help.
purposely put myself in front of the two of them.
Okay.
What's everyone else with guns doing? Are they shooting or are they holding fire?
They are all moving guns in that direction. I'm gonna say, from a like outside game standpoint, since they're the NPCs, they're gonna take basically cue from you.
All right. And how it's got an elbow. How much sunlight is actually in this space?
Just the little bit that's shining through the window. It's very like shadowed in
All right.
here. But if you open the door,
Yeah, I think I want this thing dead. I'm gonna pull out my pistol and unload.
all right. The two of you, please make firearms rolls.
So I've got like reflective material on this thing, I'd assume. Like if it's like a tactical vest, they usually have like a little like mirror and stuff for SWAT teams to be able to look down hallways. Can I just like rip that off and try to direct the sunlight over to it?
Sure.
I got a 33 under 53, so that's 2 degrees of success. I'm over these fuckers. I'm so over them.
45 under 50.
Hell yeah. Burton, roll damage regularly. Rory, you're gonna add 2 extra damage die. No, wait, yes. 2 extra damage die. Dewey, I'm gonna have you roll 2d6. Okay, so there is this moment where there are these quick flashes as guns just begin going off inside of this helicopter. The shotgun blasts, and you see it slam into the back of this creature. Slams into the side of the door. The one that was like bitten, hands immediately move up to the neck, has dropped whatever weapon they had, moves up to the neck for a moment, eyes wide, face already pale. And then as the firing stops just for a moment, you see this man kind of turn, look at everyone, reach over, grab the helicopter door, open it, No! And the two of them go out.
I try to kind of shield, like, I keep trying to shield this kid as, like, all of this is happening. Like, she doesn't deserve to see any of that.
And then there's a brief moment where you feel the helicopter shudder just a little bit, and the pilot kind of, I mean, you hear, what are we doing? Are we safe to land? We're gonna have to land this thing. And there's a brief moment where, you know, like when you hear talking, but you're just not focused on it, you're not able to hear what's actually being said. There's some talking between a couple of the other people and the pilot, and eventually the shuddering is getting worse and worse. And there's just this moment where you just, I mean, you know you're gonna crash. And then you feel the helicopter land and touch down safely on the deck of the ship. The door that had been closed opens once again. And we're going to cut to the other group. You are looking up to a helicopter that you've seen come over, stop its direction to circle instead, which you haven't seen any of them do. Circle, you hear gunshots coming from it. You see it begin to like shimmy and smoke. And then it touches down. And you see it opening and...
Yeah, I was gonna say, and a body probably being tossed out
yes,
too. Like
you
it's
saw...
probably close enough that that
and
was
actually,
too.
If
or
you're...
two, yeah.
Yeah, if you're watching that helicopter, go ahead and make a spot listen roll, and we'll see if you can like recognize if it was just bodies or...
That was a wild success. 4 degrees of success.
Yasmin's like
1 degree of success.
Oh, she's.
2 degrees of success.
I'm getting as close as humanly possible at this point because I'm like,
Right.
something's going on. That
Like
fucking
we're all
helicopter.
up there, but I'm also imagining like I can't imagine all of the military people who are here to also receive this helicopter are probably letting us get super duper close as
I'm a
all of
doctor.
this
I'm a
unfolds.
doctor.
this is my
Flashing
badge.
that medical badge.
I'm
I
sure
got
that they
an-
will care a lot about that in this exact moment.
I got a 9.
Nice. So all of you,
Yeah.
you've all faced one of these before. You see one of those, like, they've been called shriekers, night stalkers, whatever you want to call them. You see one of those falling from this helicopter with another person, and they just splash into the water. You see people immediately like looking down, kind of like talking back and forth to see what to do about the bodies in the water, but you see the focus kind of move to the helicopter that is landing.
So much for safe. That was morbid. I'm sorry.
I think everyone is thinking it, so I think I was just fine in saying that.
You see people kind of rushing. People are like bringing life rafts, and they're like, "Are we like who went in the water?" Like some of them are. They don't know. They don't know. There's this brief moment of like panic of what are we doing here. Rory and Dewey come out. You see a lot of other people as well, but you recognize Rory and Dewey.
Yasmin immediately starts screaming. And they've heard her scream, so they know what she sounds like.
Yeah, I think Darren is like, as much as was absolutely retreating, first of all, as this was all happening, but seeing that people are getting out and whatever, and recognizing them, also is moving forward and is like trying to wave them down, and is like jumping up a little bit to do the whole like, notice me.
I didn't think Death Toll was gonna have an airport scene, but this is kind of it.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Erin's just gonna like wheel herself out of the way so that, you know, kind of like into the, I don't know, like more towards the edge to kind of just let people.
Are we allowed close at this point, Carrie? Or like, I just didn't know how everyone else was reacting to.
Yes.
all
You
of
you
this
kind of
happening.
notice the moment that they realize that like there are people that you know, they immediately let you come see them. They are still Rory and Dewey, as you are exiting, you are being checked for bites once again, and weapons are being taken. But as this is happening, you look over and you see Yasmin and Darren.
Screaming at you with
Yes.
excitement and
Right.
tackling you in a hug.
I was
when
about
she
to
gets
say,
close
'cause
enough.
I was about to say, if we're not being tackled, I am definitely running towards Yasmin and Darren and just like pulling them both into a big hug.
I think
100%.
Dewey gets off the helicopter and like looks for faces that they know, but immediately for the kids, for the teenagers, as like they're holding this little girl, like they know there's a bunch of children that like they need to kind of like check in with.
Yasmin, after she hugs Rory, goes to Dewey and hugs Dewey. And there was joy. Obviously, there was so much joy. And then she sees Dewey, and you see her start to tear up. And she says, maybe while she's still hugging you, even, I'm so sorry. I'm so. There's nothing we could have done. We almost made it, but those shriekers got them on the way across the rooftops. I'm so sorry.
I think Dewey just squeezes you a little tighter. You feel them nod kind of against the side of your head. And you can feel like just like the tears kind of like sluicing kind of down their cheeks. And when we separate, I think I kind of just like take a minute.
The little girl, when this happened, suddenly was very interested in Aaron and the wheelchair. And kind of just looks over. Hi.
Aaron kind of like, do you wanna come check it out?
She looks up to Dewey for, like, approval.
Kind of gather myself, shake out of it, wipe quickly, kind of scrub at my face. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, she
They're
immediately,
good
like,
people.
climbs in and sits down and she says, "My name's Claire. What's your name?"
And Aaron like immediately is like, "You're alive?" Sorry, that was wrong.
I was
should
gonna say
not have
out
said that. And just trying to stay calm. Aaron's like, "Oh, my name's Aaron. Claire. Okay. What's your favorite animal?"
Elle, do you have a verbal reaction to this, or is that Elle's reaction? It's just staring like, holy shit.
I think as soon as Aaron goes, "You're alive," Elle takes off like full dead sprint to find Dakota. Just like at this point screaming for Dakota.
So I think so as this is all of this is happening, I think Darren stayed with Rory. Like Yasmin peeled off and was just like trying to do a hug speed challenge, and like stayed with Rory for a sec, and is so enthusiastic and is so like excited that you're here. In maybe a surprising way for Rory, but has that moment where you can tell he like almost without thinking almost asks about what happened, about hey, where's everyone else? But you see him catch himself but like you know that was kind of what he was about to ask, and he realizes that was that would be a stupid question, and he just kind of like looks at you in kind of this meaningful way of knowing, okay, this was bad, and then just kind of like looks at you, still hands on your shoulders, and says, come on, it's safe here. It's safe here. We'll get you cleaned up. We're good now. And it's like kind of trying to marshal you, but then sees everything else happen kind of also, which is distracting in a good way.
I think Rory sort of notices that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Super
and
transparent.
I think the eyes probably like flick to the jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super transparent.
And they sort of just look back at Dewey and Cornbread, and before saying, Lou got bit. Lou didn't make it. We got pretty overrun, but we found a couple other people. And Cornbread back there helped us with another, with a partner. But Lou didn't make it. But Lou staved off a lot of the horde around our safe house.
Lou would.
Yeah.
But we don't need to talk. I mean, we can if you want, but we don't need to talk about it right now. If you don't want to, you're
Right.
here. You're here. You made it. You made it. And kind of like sends a look to Cornbread and kind of just like a pseudo introductory nod
Cornbread is
in lieu
not
of a
here
firm
yet
handshake.
because Cornbread has been yelling into the radio, like has taken the radio from the pilot and is like, "Get him out of the water. The one who's bit's fine. It doesn't transmit through bites from that thing. Get the other one up. We need to study it. I don't care if it's dead or alive. You get that fucker." And like comes storming out of the helicopter, missed all of this, which they would have loved to seen, like stops suddenly, turns on their heel, goes back, grabs the scimitar, and kind of comes striding out, like really like focused, and then kind of looks up and is like, "Howdy." You see him just kind of regain their composure.
Burton.
Howdy, and is like,
I would like for you to make a detect motive roll, just real quick.
yeah, it's 8 under 50.
Amazing. You, upon immediately looking at Darren, this character in front of you, you know that that's Darren. That's the Darren that you've heard about.
You see a complicated set of emotions. Like you see like happiness, and then you see just a little bit of like bitterness, just for an instant, and then that kind of warm smile comes over, and they step up and, "Hello, sir. I'm sorry, Sir Rat. I'm still working on that. Sir Rat, my bad. I should have. Hi. It's real nice to meet you. I'm Burton. You can call me Cornbread."
Darren kind of like was still kind of like having a degree of like physical connection with Rory post hug in whatever form that was, and like kind of checks really quick with Rory to make sure that they're okay, and then kind of like straightens out his oversized polo and extends a very formal handshake out and says, "Good. It is. It's good to meet you. Not the ideal circumstances, but my name is Darren. Rory's a friend. Dewey's a friend, and it sounds like you guys went through a lot of hell together. So I guess I welcome. I guess I'm the welcome. I'm welcome."
Well, I did kind of help set this up, so I feel like I should be welcoming you.
Like the whole
I know I don't look
situation?
it. I'm military.
I
I know I don't sound it either. That's all right. That's Cornbread.
thank you for your service.
I've never heard that more awkward, but I'm happy to be of service. I hear you did real good keeping these folks safe, so thank you too.
No. They then you must have heard wrong. They did the saving and the protecting. I was lucky to be around them, and lucky to be here. And thank you for your work here. It's been really comforting to find a place that is relatively safe.
They kind of keep looking at you for a second, and they look to Rory and Dewey if they're paying attention. You different under pressure, because this I don't see the. What am I missing?
No, it's it'll come out eventually. Don't worry. You'll
right.
figure it out.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I just sort of pat Darren on the shoulder, and I'm like, "You're doing great. You're doing great."
Yeah. Darren is already just like, all right, everybody, all right, guys, let's all, and Dewey is obviously like, Darren hasn't even really noticed that yet, but will shortly, but is already turning to be like, all right, guys, let's all get inside. Let's, all of us, we have a nice place to go. We'll chit chat about whatever. We know all the best place for snacks already. We'll just, take your time, get yourself cleaned up. But I feel like we really should, schedule something, get something on the calendars, and let's make sure that we're doing it right. Make time for each other, for this for this team, etc. And it's just already off.
Okay. There are no schedules in the apocalypse,
well,
Darren.
There
aren't.
I think it's important to enforce,
sure.
Your will on time.
Okay.
And, kind of you dictate the way your day goes. And the best way to do that is planning. So, build the day you wish to see.
Just elbow Rory. She would have eaten him for lunch.
Yeah. Yep. Hmm. Definitely.
Dewey and Yasmin, you've heard all of this happening as you're kind of standing here in this quiet.
I am going to. Did I overhear it all? Burton saying to find the body. Like, were they shouting loud enough for me to?
I would say yes, and I would say, with how perceptive you've been, you do see people going out to try and fish out the body.
Okay. In that case, Yasmin would go up to Burton and say, first of all, thank you so much. My name is Dr. Yasmin Khan. I was traveling.
You're the doctor.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you, ma'am. Is that right?
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you, ma'am.
I have journals that I was keeping notes of a friend of ours that turned while they were with us. It sounded, I'm sorry to overhear, it sounded like you were collecting information. I have lots from my work.
That would be invaluable. I cannot thank you enough. And they reach to take a hat off they don't have. And thank you. Yes, every bit of information. I'm done with field work now. And they kind of turn to whatever ranking person is potentially nearby. I'm done with field work now. I'm going to the lab, and I'm gonna annihilate this thing. I'm done.
There is hope for the first time, perhaps, on Yasmin's face. Well, that and the little girl. I would very much like to join you. It has been a while since I have done research properly, but it would be an honor to help in any way I can.
Research, great. I don't know if they let civvies in labs, but we can research would be.
She is real. Yeah, Darren's like, this is when Darren inserts himself into the conversation, as he is wont to do. And he's like, Yasmin is very, very good. Calm under pressure, has, seen a lot of different stuff out in the field, probably more than some of the people on this boat. I've been talking to people, and, I think a lot of people here don't really understand the scope of things, which is great. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think people should know, but, someone should know who's in the lab. So I think, Yasmin is, she's the person.
Put a hand on his shoulder and say, was also a neurosurgeon at Northwestern Memorial Hospital for many years. So I have some experience in the laboratory setting.
Those are really impressive qualifications, and I respect your opinion clearly. But you don't see no stars on my shoulders. I don't make those. I'm not the one you got to convince. I'm just a messenger here.
I'd be happy to take a meeting.
I'm sure you would.
Burton, I think when that is said, you just have this like flash of split like vision of how Reaper would have responded to Darren. What do you think that would have been like?
She would have stared him with death in her eyes until he stopped talking. And if he did not take the hint, she would just walk not around him, but straight through him, because the conversation was done about 10 minutes ago, as far as she's concerned.
It's a real unstoppable force, immovable object kind of situation. It's hard to say.
Yeah, so there is just this moment where you're like imagining that, and now you understand why Rory and Lou couldn't wait for Reaper to meet Darren.
You watch these kind of warm smiles and just kind of maybe a tiny bit condescending, but kind of in that military, like, I don't know how to deal with civvies way, but smiles. And you just kind of watch him go about 1,000 miles away for a second. Right, well, I can chase down a name if you're looking for a meeting, but
we'll circle back.
It's not Burton.
No rush, no pressure.
I'll call you.
Within reason, sure. Sounds good. I appreciate it. Looking forward to getting the sit rep. Nope, I take that back. Thank you for your service. And then turns back to Dewey and leaves.
I just look at Rory.
Yeah. Yeah. You can. I can also vouch for Yasmin. Yeah.
My mom always taught me you believe a lady when she describes herself. So I believe.
Yeah.
We'll run it up the chain.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
At this point, an out of breath Elle comes back into view, dragging Dakota alongside.
This is the first time in years that Elle has run for fucking joy. And they are living for it. Like, everything's terrible. Everything's been awful. And then this one maybe glimmer of hope comes back, and they are running like a kid on a playground. And when they get to Dakota, they're like, Dakota, you just have to come. You just have to trust me. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to get your hopes up, but you have to trust me. And then just grabs her hand and pulls.
Yeah, drags Dakota into view. And we see Dakota's pulled in basically to this group. And then, you know how when you're in a group of people, your eyes automatically move to the people you recognize? Well, she kind of scans the group, looks at Elle, turns, looks at Aaron, and then sees her daughter. And there is this moment where she just can't even move forward. She just drops to her knees, and Claire bursts out of your lap and runs over, and they just collide. And you all just watch this moment. very loud sobbing, but like the happiest sobs anyone could possibly have coming from Dakota. And you just watch for a moment.
Elle sits down and just puts their head in Aaron's lap and cries.
Aaron like starts like just petting Elle's hair and is like, okay, but like now we have to take them to Alaska.
That's okay. We'll make sure there's plenty of room. We'll get a whole row. We'll get a whole row of seats.
Yeah.
A few more moments pass, and then you hear Doctor from behind you, Yasmin.
Turn.
You just see an officer, kind of looks, eyes Burton as well, and kind of like motions you both closer, not to have like a private conversation necessarily, but doesn't want to speak too loudly for the whole ship to hear. We're spread pretty thin here. We were wondering with your field experience. His eyes kind of move like he's not sure if that's the right term for what has been happening. We could use your help with something in private. If you'd both follow me, please. Yeah. Turns and leads you to a different part of the ship. You are brought into a private room that is sort of it's set up very much like a morgue. There is a body on the table, the body of the man that turned into this Shrieker, Nightcrawler, Night Stalker. It's been called many things. Lights are everywhere, bright and aimed down at the body. The man shrugs. Different people have called it different things. I assume you've seen one before today?
Yes. A number of them.
Cornbread, I'm assuming this man was not like this when he got into the helicopter, so what the hell happened?
So, that's the damned thing about it. He wasn't bit. He had and I kind of look at Yasmin, like, see if any of this sounds familiar. These things, their bite doesn't turn you. They're different. I don't know how or why. He was in that chopper. He was fine. He'd been checked. We'd all been checked. And then he started coughing up blood and turning, just lightning fast. And he was clutching at his side, and I am going to kind of motion to the area without touching it. And there was nothing. Is there anything there now? This is the spot. Did you find the fellery bit? Is he still?
There's a moment where, like, Yasmin, you get the feeling that he's, like, gonna filter what he's saying because there's this ability, but then there's this moment of, I don't have to filter with you. We've found him, we went ahead and executed,
God, you don't. All right, I need his body too. We got to do some blood tests. We don't know. So look at his elbow. Look at his elbow here. And Burton's like switching gears just as fast as they can. Are we recording? We have a speaker. Turn tape recorder. We got it. Okay, so look at his elbow. So your buddy there, Rory, they noticed that, look, he got in the sun and he was burning. And I'm gonna motion to the damaged skin on the elbow. But I assume it's a lot more now since they were out in the light.
Yeah, it's like over a lot of their body, just from the short, like from the fall. Most of their body is just burned at this point. The officer's nodding and looking to you both. Do you feel confident that you could autopsy this thing?
Yes.
You gotta give me like 10 minutes to scrub up. I'm a mess.
Well, in proper PPE, please. Also,
Yeah.
assuming that you have it.
Yeah, we have
We don't-
supplies. The office is yours. How it became infected is priority, but just whatever you can find out. We're grasping at straws here, but it's all we have.
All right. To Burton. You need to scrub up. I need to get changed. I will go get my notes as well. And we'll get started. Yes?
Doctor, thank you kindly.
That's what I am here for. And I'll go get my stuff.
This is the point in the story where you go to click to do the next mission, and it's like, "Are you sure?"
No,
blah, blah,
Carrie.
blah, blah.
Carrie,
Fuck you.
Carrie, no.
Fuck you,
I'm
you
not
piece
sure.
of shit. Fuck you.
I've
God
already
damn it.
signed up for 2 more things with you. Come
Fuck do you
on.
mean?
Listen,
My
get
God.
ready for your heart to just be broken all the time.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's no going
don't
back?
you-
That's how it always works with tabletop role-playing games. But you say that's just how time passes, Carrie.
Will you
And
all
then you're-
just
what
shut
do you
up
mean?
and let me tell you?
No.
Insert
Fuck
your
you.
will on time.
Fuck
This
you.
is unnecessary information to psych us out. Like
This is gonna be really bad.
When Carrie
It's
tells
fine.
us to shut up, it's really
What
fun,
an
actually.
asshole.
Yeah, it's fine.
She takes
Piece
it
of
so
shit.
well for most of the time. She's like, fuck off at this point.
Yeah, so you guys all wrote your fucking last will and testaments, right? No, hey, don't talk about it. It's no big deal. Fuck you, Carrie.
You charge those phones, right? Because
You
you're gonna
piece
make
of shit.
one last call to your loved
Correct,
ones.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Call your wife?
Fucking
No.
If you
exactly.
still have
We
a phone, you know.
We see the fucking Matrix code, Carrie. We see it. We know what you're doing. Even though we don't know what
In
you're
all
doing, we
honesty,
know what you're doing.
Yo.
Yeah, in all honesty, Carrie, I'm personally ready to go.
I'm gonna go ahead and put $5 down
click.
that like we all
I'm-
get turned into zombies, and in season 2 they find our aircraft carrier, and that's like
Oh
the
my
whole
god,
season.
don't.
I'm telling
put that
you,
You're the
evil in
aircraft
my
This
carrier
mouth.
ship
and the
is going
characters
down
have fun.
faster than
But
Twitter.
the only survivor on the whole ship,
Is
Darren Baldwin,
Darren, yeah.
No.
Let
driven
ask
mad,
me about my zombies.
alone,
Yeah.
wearing a polo shirt as a diaper.
Any scenes that you want with anyone, I want to give that to you. And that can include Yasmin and Burton as well. We'll say you're kind of going and getting changed. You don't have to like scrub in just yet. So anything, any scenes anybody wants to play out, absolutely go for it now. And that is all I meant by this is the point of no return. I feel like I have to throw some like crazy danger in here because everybody is like expecting it.
don't
I'll
have to,
write
you
something
don't
real
have
quick.
It's okay, Carrie. No, no,
no.
no.
You're fine, you're fine, you're fine.
Subvert
You don't need any drama.
expectations.
It's okay.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's
Appreciate
the all
it.
talking at once that just gets me.
I'm only autopsying one of these shriekers that may or may not actually be dead. You know,
big deal.
I didn't. It's totally fine.
You'll be all right.
It'll be
Yeah, you
fine.
have
this
me.
fucker's gonna be airborne, and then I'm gonna kill everyone.
Dewey's kind of just like been floating from person to person like a little ghost. Seeing like a family reunited touched them, made them cry all over again. But they kind of wonder like, what is their purpose now? Like, they've lost their library, they've lost Heather, they've lost those kids, they've lost this kid for a good reason this time, which is nice. But now it's kind of just them. And like, they're not useful like Yasmin, and they don't feel like as strong as Rory. And they kind of like look over at Darren and they're like, I don't think I can handle that right now.
Oh no, am I the Darren?
And they just know that Darren's going to try to pep talk them and motivational poster them to death, and they just like don't have it. So they kind of just wander around, like just looking for something to do.
I think recognizing that kind of useless feeling and kind of aimless wander, Elle's just gonna sidle over to them and stick out a hand trying to be normal. Hi, I saw you knew Darren and Yasmin. I should, I guess, introduce myself. I don't know why I felt the need to, but I'm Elle.
Hey, Dewey. And I take your hand, give it a shake. Thanks for putting up with my friends. Well, my friend. Yasmin's pretty good.
Yeah, she's great.
Darren's pretty good. He means well.
No, for sure. He does his best.
Yeah. That's all we can do, right?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that kid.
Yeah. You know her?
I mean, not personally. Our friend, that's her. I mean, kind of obviously that's her kid.
Yeah.
She almost didn't come with us. She thought her kid was lost, and she almost just stayed to find her, even though Yasmin and Darren and they thought she was, so.
Yeah,
I guess
we ran into a kid out there, and it was really not. It's how we got split up.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they would maybe have not been as optimistic.
Yeah.
It's been really hard. I'm sure you're no stranger to that, though.
I don't think any of us are. All the usual questions I'd ask seem really stupid right now.
Yeah, I hear you, but I kind of like look around a little bit, realizing that this is the safest that Dewey has felt in days. Feel safe here?
I think so.
Sometimes that feeling's too good to be true,
Yeah. I mean, last time we felt safe like that, a monster busted through a window.
Fuck.
So.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess you guys already had the monster bust out of a window, but in the other direction. Are you okay after that? I mean...
My ears won't
relatively.
stop ringing, but, I'm just glad she's okay. We're mid-air, and that's happening, and it's... All I can think is... Can't lose any more people,
Yeah, especially not a kid.
Especially not kids. Like, you kind of see Dewey's, eyes start to glaze over a little bit at the mention of kids. And...
What'd you do? If you don't mind me asking. Before it all.
Yeah, I was a librarian. Was a librarian. I guess wherever there's books, I'm a librarian.
It's nice. I don't really have any. I was gonna try and give you a book, but I don't have one.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. I'm sure there's some somewhere, and are there books in the apocalypse? Does that even matter? Does anything matter right now?
No. Books matter. Stories matter. Stories are people. People are stories. They're inextricable. And if that's the only thing that keeps us human, then we gotta hold on to it, right?
Yeah.
You're the keeper of humanity right now,
Said your name's Elle?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a cool person. Thanks for... I've been kind of adrift. I think it's time to wake up.
Good thing we're walking into a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. But can it get any worse? I know.
You
I
can't say
know.
that. You are a
I know.
librarian.
I
You
know.
read
I know.
books.
I know. I couldn't
Dude.
resist. I couldn't resist.
I know.
I'm not trying to treat this like it's a joke. I just
No, I know.
just trying to find some
laugh,
bright
you'll
side.
cry. Yeah.
And I kind of like look at like everyone, like we're out on a deck, I assume. I like look around the deck and I look for the familiar faces to try to like ground myself and remind myself of like, well, you've got these people. And my eyes fall on Rory and I kind of wave. Yeah, I mean there's a lot more life to live. There's a lot left to do. And you seem like a cool person to do it with, so I'm glad to be here. Glad to feel safe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's Dakota. And the one in the wheelchair is Aaron. So you got a couple more familiar faces now. Won't drift too far.
Yeah. I think this will be the first time I'm not scared to know someone new.
And as Dakota was pointed out, she is kind of a good distance away now at this point. You can see her and Claire kind of like... Dakota's basically just leading Claire back in towards the rooms to go get some rest.
I think... Oh, go ahead. I've talked plenty.
I think Aaron like has been kind of disassociating this whole time. Elle kind of got up and walked away, and like Aaron's still like petting what she thinks is Elle, but they're actually like petting like the arm of their wheelchair without like really putting much thought into it, and just like sitting there, and then like kind of snaps and like looks down and realizes what they're doing. And then looks over and sees Elle and Dewey kind of chatting, and like thinks about going over, but like decides not to, because now Aaron's at a point where they don't know what they're gonna do, because like Claire and Dakota are kind of back, and like the last thing Aaron wants to do is like make them feel like they have to go back out anywhere, and Aaron has no foot and is in a wheelchair and is trying to like just wrestle with these feelings of like they're no longer useful to the situation. So kind of they decide to stay where they are to kind of give Elle more room to like branch into other communities, I guess.
Yeah. Elle, make a detective motives roll.
Detective motives. Where is it?
Trained skills on the left.
That's a 5. Under 35.
Where? What?
I don't know.
So as you're kind of introducing, you know, that's Dakota, that's Aaron, you immediately know the look and the feeling that is like coming from Aaron, even though they just kind of look away and stay where they are.
Elle feels that like big sibling maternal instinct that they've been feeling for Aaron like sweep over them again, and they kind of like pat Dewey on the shoulder and kind of try and like not pull them over, but like nod like they're gonna walk over here and like you're welcome to join if you want. And I'll just kind of go stand by Aaron. You tired? You hungry? Should we try to do something normal?
My arms are exhausted. And like I didn't think. I mean, can you? Yes.
You're gonna get so fucking buff.
I know,
You are.
right? It's gonna be so good. No one's gonna. I was thinking, you know how you see those people that like do tricks. I want to
Yeah.
learn how to do tricks.
You have to figure out how to drift this thing too.
Yes, absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
like once you can
Drifting.
drift a wheelchair, you can let go, and then you can.
We might
shoot
need a-
from wheelchair.
We might need a better model though. I'm just.
I'll You know what, Dewey, we'll find some maybe some mechanics manual or like something. Maybe we can trick out Aaron's wheelchair.
I'm Dewey. I'd love to help.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have
Come on,
any
Dewey, come inside. Let's go eat.
Yeah, food. Let's go get food.
Yeah. And
Think-
I'll kind of try to sweep Dewey along with us if I can, if they want to.
I would
Yeah.
probably pull like Rory and Darren in as well, like try to stick together as much as possible.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think Darren moves into manager mom mode, and is now like realizing we've been out here for like a while now, and you guys are still crusted with everything, which is not an ideal state of being. And so Darren is also now like, especially once you guys start mentioning it, just starts like trying to shepherd everyone. Is like, let's all go. And anyone who's still like else who got delivered on another helicopter is now just kind of trying to like, on top of probably military people who are literally trying to move people in directions. Darren is also like, yep, just listen to them. You know, they'll tell you where to go. We'll all meet up. We'll get you cleaned up, get you some snacks. It'll be really good. You get the lay of the land, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
There's a moment where everyone is moving and Burton, you're standing there, and there's a moment where you glance to your side. But Reaper's not there.
Yeah, Yasmin, are you nearby, or am I kind of... Have you wandered off?
I went, got some stuff, and came back. So I guess it depends, Carrie, how long it took me. I guess.
Yeah, you can absolutely be back, or you can be like just coming back into the area, however you would like.
Is it one of those situations where like you're kind of lost in thought, and then Yasmin appears, and you're just like, oh, hello, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think you probably kind of came in and you saw Burton, who is still covered in field gunk, has not cleaned up yet, and has been like going through everything, and has like found their own notebook that they've been taking notes on, put that out, and is just like, you see kind of the tail end of this. It's not a nervous energy, but it is a like, I am working, I am focusing, I am doing things, because if I stop, I don't know what's going to happen. And you see them kind of like, and they're just kind of gone for a long moment, and the matchstick like falls out of their mouth as they're just kind of not there.
Yasmin sees this and just very gently tap on the door frame. Are you okay?
Yeah, thank you. It's been a busy couple. Yeah, hi. I'm glad you're. What do you need to get settled? It's all yours.
Wonderful. First I should ask, what are you medically trained? Are you military? What is your experience with this sort of thing?
Yeah. Yes and yes. Turns out I got kind of a mind for doctrine, and especially like theoretical, and I wasn't going to get any schooling, so joined the military, and they kind of ripped me out of the lab when all this happened. All bodies front line, which is understandable, but I'm not always frontline material, so I'm happy to be back here. Yeah, I know how to look it. I know how to sound it. I promise you, ma'am, I do know what I'm doing.
How old does Burton look?
It is a little bit difficult to tell because they are like just under 6 feet and like somewhat broad in the shoulders, but have this very young, almost boyish face.
So, I mean, Yasmin is like upper middle age, so definitely younger than Yasmin.
Definitely
Is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you get the feeling like out of basic training, definitely has been in this a while, but you know, splitting their time between the two.
Yasmin will start washing her hands, start scrubbing up, and just like you can see she has done this a million times. And she says, not really looking at you, just doing the motions. And she says, you know, I was military when I was very young. It is mandatory in Turkey. And I traveled around the country, partially doing, you know, field work, but also working as a doctor in the field. It is where I got my start, in fact. I met all sorts of people while I was out there, Burton, and I have met many types of people in my life in the decades I've been doing this. And she, you know, shakes her hands off, dries them off, and she looks at you and she says, don't let anyone ever tell you you do not look like the right kind of person to be doing what you do, as long as you are doing it well, yes?
Thank you kindly.
Of course. Go on, scrub up. We will get started.
Yeah. And Burton gets to it, is going to step out and change out of their jacket and into some scrubs and come in and get to work.
Everyone else is heading to get some food. You're probably one of the largest groups that are like moving together in this place. You've noticed a lot of groups that have like gotten off of the helicopters together kind of stick together instinctually for a little while, but you see that most of the bonds are just a couple people, if any. You're definitely the biggest group that you see moving together as you are heading to the cafeteria.
Can I ask? And I think I have a reason why Darren might have an idea, but do we get a sense of how wide a net that this particular like base is kind of reaching? Like, is it just Chicago area people? Is it Midwestern people? Is it Great Lakes? Is it like just a couple blocks of Chicago? And the reason that I think Darren would know that is because Darren would be talking to everyone and
sure.
introducing and a little bit, you know, just kind of like awkward networking, schmoozing thing, not making necessarily, you know, hard friends or anything, but at least trying to like connect with some people and get a sense of what's going on and who they are and all that.
Yeah. This base in particular, they don't have an exact answer for you, in the sense of they are just scaling out as far as they can, as far as they have set up any of these safe houses. They don't make it sound like it's the entirety of Chicago. But they do make it sound like they're trying to extend the reach. They're trying to extend the word. But it's been 5 days, I think, at this point. So.
And is that 5 days like since day 0, basically? Yeah. Okay. I mean, which is miraculous that this is even here, you know, at day 5. So makes sense. So Darren would definitely be doing, you know, like tour guide kind of stuff. Making sure that they, you know, get in the right lines to get the rooms that they want, and very casually dropping where his room is, you know, so that people can make obviously an informed decision to probably be in the same area as Darren, where the showers are, where the, you know, like, well, there's a couple cafeterias and this one is more of just like a breakfast nook, and that's, it's fine. But the real, like the whole, but like doing the whole spiel and like giving people the full like lay of the land, especially for like, get them to a shower and get them to a fucking bed, like that's the priority. And like, cause that was what helped Darren, was like getting that like level of civilization and comfort. And so he's like prioritizing of like, you can rest now.
Elle has the instinct to say, Darren, we've only been here 4 hours longer than these people, but then realizes that it's kind of his way of trying to help and his way of trying to feel useful and his way of trying to like find a purpose, and bites her tongue and lets him.
Yeah.
And in like a weird way, it's probably comforting, especially to like Rory, who's been there from the very beginning. It's comforting.
Yeah.
I would definitely go take a shower and change my clothes. I mean, maybe like
Right.
put my same clothes back on if they can be washed, because it's like all I have now.
Yeah, there are
But-
plenty of like other clothes here that you are more than welcome to change into.
Yeah, I guess I'll awkwardly follow Dewey. 'Cause
You
I would
also have to get cleaned up.
Yeah, I
There
was
is
gonna say I
reason for
also
us
want to
to
get changed and cleaned up. So this
And,
is
like,
just where we're at.
Honestly, like, God, I can imagine the first, like, just first shower generally after all of that is very important and powerful. But like, also that's, I don't know, like, there's so much paranoia over the last couple of days about checking for bites and
Mhm.
about like exposed skin and all that kind of stuff. Like, just that's stressful.
Yeah.
I walk into the showers, and as I'm trying to kind of take all my clothes off, I quickly remember that I am very, very wounded, and I kind of like struggle to take my pants off and my shoes off standing. So like I have to sit, and then my shoulder is banged up and my wrist is banged up, and I'm like trying to just kind of get all of this disgustingness off of me, and it's just like very slow going. And I imagine when Rory walks in, like you just hear like a lot of swearing, just like a lot of swearing and like hissing in pain here and there. I've got like heavy damage to my shoulder, like the dressing is coming off. The shoulder like of my binder is also snapped and ripped and torn. So it's kind of like gaping there and like flapping a little bit, and like I just kind of stop and just cry like in frustration for a second when I kind of hear you come in.
I think Rory sort of hears this and sort of like kind of quietly, well, actually no, they'll kind of loudly shuffle over and sort of like lean in the general vicinity, and just sort of wait until Dewey notices them.
Hey, it's gonna be
Hi.
good, right? Hot shower.
Yeah. I mean, if your wounds can withstand a hot shower. Are you doing okay? I know that's a very loaded question right now, but
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Trying. I want to believe I'll feel more human after the shower, but I'm definitely dreading putting this anywhere near the faucet. I know that Burton did a good job to stitch me up. I'm feeling at least held, but like everything is just on fire.
Yeah, you got really wounded back there. Rory will sort of shuffle in and sit somewhat beside them. Do you need help or anything? Do you want, is there anything I could do to help you?
Kind of see Dewey, like their face kind of hardens for a second, But then they realize like trust is a thing that you have had to have very recently, all at once. And they just kind of turn to you and they're like, I can't get this all off. I've got most of it, but if you can just like help me get this over my head, my shirt, I can't really lift my arms.
Okay. Yeah, I can help. Just try not to move too much, and I can help you. I will sort of lean in, and help you, as like very gently as they can, which is a complete 180 from how they have had to be for the last however long it's been. I don't want to ask about the elephant in the room, but I'm going to assume none of the teens made it.
I just kind of wordlessly shake my head and like lean my head against you.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah. I'm having a really hard time
Yeah.
not blaming myself for this.
I don't think anybody can blame themselves for anything anymore. It's just bad. I don't know. It's just bad out there.
It was. And seeing that little girl in the house, that in a really weird way that helped.
Yeah.
I was too trusting in the sewer. But
I mean,
everybody needs someone, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, the kid, we couldn't have known. Who would have thought you'd see a kid turned? That's really awful.
I didn't even want kids. Like, I barely liked those kids. Every day they'd come to my fucking library. Every day. Shit talking. Fucking gunking up the computer with NSFW sites. Just fucking awful. Every day. And like, the only reason I didn't kick him out is because I was like, well, you're not popular kids if you're at the library every day. Like, I was that kid, you know?
Yeah.
And they're just gone. Like, that was the one thing I had from before. This is the one thing I have from after. And you see them kind of clutch the fluorite around their neck. Like, what is there now?
You're still yourself. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah. That's something to hold on to.
Yeah.
It's still here. I just wonder what's next. How I'm gonna get through it. It's just like, I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yeah. We've lost a lot of people, but I mean, there's still a lot of people here. And that's reassuring.
Yeah. It was so good to see Darren's stupid face.
I was a lot more happy to see him than I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the doc.
Yeah. I'm really glad they made it.
I'm really glad we made it.
Me too. Just take it one step at a time, and I don't know. I guess before we stepped onto this place, I don't know, I felt like there wasn't a lot to really keep pushing forward for. And part of me still feels like that. but part of me also kind of feels like I think it's worth it to keep trying to find that something. Even if I don't have it for a while. So maybe we can just slowly work together and figure that out.
I like working with you.
I do too. Thank you.
For what? I almost got everyone killed.
Yeah, but I feel like after Lou, I don't know. You didn't get anyone killed, but I feel like at times maybe during that entire trek you kept me alive in a way, I guess, because at least I still had you, and I still, someone I knew from the apartments, so that was nice. So I guess thank you for that.
You kind of like see a clarity kind of come to their eyes. I'll be here for you as long as you want me.
Okay. The same goes for me. For you.
I think I just take your hand.
I'll just pull you into a hug.
Are there any other scenes you'd like to take place this evening?
I think the only thing for Darren, knowing that Yasmin is off, knowing that Rory is like getting their bearings still, and is just like busy for the night. I think Darren would just like be wandering around just aimlessly, just with weird energy as he has been since he stepped foot on here. And I'm just imagining that he at some point, either on purpose or not, or maybe he doesn't even know, comes across the reunited family. And I don't think he says anything, because like, what do you say at a time like that? But and maybe he's noticed, maybe he's not. It doesn't super matter to him. He just sees it, and sees the joy and sees the happiness that he convinced someone to not hope for, and just takes it in very briefly, and then just kind of like moves on.
I think before Burton gets ready to completely scrub up, they with that nervous energy, mind racing, can't think about the thing I really need to think about, suddenly sticks their head in to Yasmin and says, you said you had notes, you had books. Do you have, I know, so we got librarian. Do you mind if I? Thank you.
Of course, yes.
And they're gonna take Yasmin's notes and their notes and any others they've been able to acquire over the time and kind of go out looking for Dewey. And I actually think they might find Ellie and Aaron first. I don't know if Darren's nearby. If Darren's nearby, they kind of like see the three, look at Darren, look back at Elle. Howdy. You're part of the group, yeah? I'm looking for Dewey.
I think they went to the showers. Them and the other kid. I think their name's Rory.
Thank you. I'll would you mind doing me a favor? I gotta think. These are notes about Dewey's librarian. We talked a while we were in and I could really use some help just like sorting them. Like what's about regular infected, what's about the shriekers, whatever you're calling them. It seems like they might be a good person. If they're not up to it, that's totally fine. But if you could, do you think
I can help too. I have experience with these, not these kinds of things, obviously, but with research. I can help.
As a writer.
Yeah.
It is so lovely to make y'all's acquaintance.
It's nice to meet you.
This would just be Burton, by the way, cornbread. You can.
Do you have a preference?
I like cornbread.
Yeah, cornbread's
Cornbread's
dope.
pretty yummy, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I'm not great at always following rules like I'm supposed to, so I haven't asked if it's okay to give y'all all, but if you could kind of,
I have like a handful of notes too. I'll add to it.
that would just be wonderful. We're doing a thing, and this would be hopefully real helpful when we're done. So, and
Do y'all have extra paper anywhere? You know what? I'll ask someone else. Go do your thing. You don't need to worry about that.
thank you kindly. It was lovely to make y'all's acquaintance. And they just kind of drop the books in your arms and are.
I will. I have a lap. You can lap.
Oh, do you want to be the the book cart right now?
Yeah. I mean, dual purpose, right?
Okay. Well, if you get tired of holding the books, let me know. And
My legs aren't doing anything else right now. So.
as they shouldn't, keep them that way. And I think I'll just like wheel us over to one of the tables in pretty good view of the door, so that whenever Dewey and Rory come back, they can join us.
And when Dewey and Rory do come back, what are they dressed in? Now that they are all cleaned up for the first time.
Dewey has chosen a plain green shirt. It's a button down. They have like an A shirt kind of underneath. It looks like they're wearing two in lieu of their busted binder and undershirt. Their hair is like in a slightly nicer bun, but still just a little bit of a mess. And they've got like a pen just errantly sticking out of it.
I think Rory's wearing a like a long sleeved like Henley, some like cargo pants that are very clearly like 2 sizes too big, so they have like a belt that's like cinched, and some boots. And there is they like have the pocket watch strapped to a belt loop and sort of in the pocket of one of the pockets. And then the leather jacket is still with them. So
At this moment, as Dewey and Rory are kind of meeting up with Elle and Aaron, all these books, have been these books and journals and ripped pieces of paper that are taped to the backs of books and things like that are all thrown onto a table eventually. First Aaron's lap and then a table. And Dewey, you pull out the last book that should be added to this collection. The journal with Shannon's name across it, and you kind of set it down gently. And Elle, you don't recognize the journal in a sense of you've seen it before, but you recognize the journal in a sense of that's the journal of a writer. And there's just this familiarity to it. Kind of pick it up, and there's a spot that has been marked that seems to be like the last journal entry. You can tell it was during one of the last 5 days. And you open it up.
You always told me there's power in creating. And there's power in me too.
You look over at the pile of books and you see most of them are in people's handwriting.
I look at Dewey. It's like I told you. Keeper of humanity. Keep us
Currently
going.
something else. This is good. This is how we remember.
It's how we survive.
And with that, the scene fades to black.
So after we finish, after we've gotten all this information, because I'm a doctor, I'm not a scientist sort of situation. As we're probably degloving, that's a phrase, and all that other stuff. What a game to say that. Yeah. Yasmin would say, all of these materials that we are going to be needing for the further tests, obviously it is not here, but is there something nearby that perhaps the army could find that we could go get, or anything like that?
I mean, powers that be are real intent on stopping all this. So if we think we have information, if we think we have a way, I'm gonna go down making sure I wipe these things out.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever resources are available, I'm sure they can be made available to us if we have a good enough argument. And I like to think I'm about as persuasive as I am charming. So I've been told.
I can see that. I spent 40 years getting away from being in the field and fighting and all of these things. But if there is anything that with my past, with my training, if there is anything I can do both here on the ship and out there, and she looks kind of at a porthole or whatever, I also would like to wipe these things off the face of the earth, if we can. Whatever it takes.
Real noble, be careful about saying that too loud, because they'll find some excuse to send you out there. Trust me, I didn't even want to join the army. It was just the only way I was going to get to be able to do the stuff I'm good at. So they're going to have to drag me back out there if I'm, and you see a little bit of this warmth crack a little bit. This is someone who's just barely hanging on.
This was the first time you were in the field, yes?
I mean, I did some nothing. Obviously nothing like this. There's nothing like this before. It had always been a lot more tactical. This is a right mess.
The things we have seen, not just during this time, but in service and protection of others, is a heavy burden. I will not claim to know everything that you have seen, just as, but if you need someone that has seen some shit, as they say, I am happy to be a listening ear. Yes?
It's mighty kind of you. being a little too direct. I do need someone, but she's gone, so starting over.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Far from the only one who's lost folk. I'm sure you have too. I just feel like I don't deal with it as well as some others.
We all
Never
deal
did.
in the same way, in different ways. It's what you do with the pain. And she grips the necklace that she has been, wearing this time. And my family, I've dealt with loss. Of course, we all have. They are spread across the world, never mind the city. But do not think for a moment that your pain, though it is, you think you're handling it badly, we all handle pain in ways that are best suited for ourselves. And listen, what I'm trying to say is no way that you handle that pain is wrong. It is what it is. Tell me about them.
You see, as you reach for your necklace, they instinctively reach, and they're wearing 2 sets of dog tags. And she was the strongest, bravest person I knew. She took no shit from anyone but me. And when I find the cure to this thing, I'm going to name it the Reaper virus. And we're going to use it to take these things right back out.
I look forward to the day we can do that in her honor.
There's a lot of people we're going to be doing this in the name of. So, I don't have... It's good advice. Thing about us doctrine types, we're not really good at taking the advice for ourselves. Don't got time for any of that. I got to go fix this.
We have to fix this. We're not doing it alone.
I mighty appreciate the help.
Yasmin gives Burton a warm smile, and as she turns to leave, maybe chucking something in a garbage can or something nearby, she turns back with a little bit of a smirk, and she says, I had one as well, a nickname. Fistically. It is with nuts in English. The things that they think of,
Show up to basics sounding like this, and you're cornbread until you make them learn your name.
I have a fondness for baklava.
Oh, I had a... that's very different than where I went, but I believe both.
I think that's probably the first legit laugh Yasmin has had in days. Oh.
I think the fellers you trained with are a little different than the fellers I trained with, but
oh, that is probably certainly true.
but
Get some
nothing like
sleep.
something yummy when you need some bed rest, right?
Yes.
You as well. And I mean, I know this is all of our fights, but you're not military, so we right appreciate you.
I may have been out of the service for longer than I think you've been alive, but those muscles, they don't go away. And she stands a little taller, a very familiar stand that you know, and just gives you a nod and steps out.
Burton instinctively straightens and squares and heads off.
And Burton, you head to your sleeping quarters. You open the door and you see all of her things.
Burton doesn't so much as close the door as just kind of collapses back against it, and it slams, and they just sink to the ground, face in their hands, nails digging into their hair, and they don't sleep.
Let's go ahead and have one more scene. We'll call it a cafeteria scene. We'll have everyone can kind of be in the same area, waking up at various times for breakfast. Burton, it is your choice whether you are in this scene or not. You can come in halfway through if you'd like, whatever you'd like, but everyone else, it is morning. You've had your first truly safe night of rest. Granted, you've slept in more comfortable places during these last 5 days than these bunk bed cots, but still. You're rested. Your wounds probably hurt a lot because they've been properly cleaned and rebandaged and all of that, so there's that ache that's coming as the adrenaline is gone. And it's not very pleasant, but in a way it feels nice that you're just able to feel it. What would everyone like to do?
At some point in the night, Elle, when they couldn't sleep, got up and took out the Alaska snow globe and just kind of set it on a crate or whatever there is next to Aaron, because I assume Aaron's on the bottom bunk and I'm on the top. But yeah, just set it next to her so that when she wakes up she can see it. And then kind of went back to pacing or trying to lay down. But yeah, in the morning it's there.
Huey wakes up and just throws himself into this new sense of purpose that they have. They kind of take for granted that it's not just this book that they know, like the book that Shannon left behind. Like, that's not the only account that they're seeing, and the personal handwriting on each page just like brings tears to their eyes, especially thinking about what Elle said. And I think everywhere they go, they leave the rest of the papers and sorted notes and things there on that table, so that everybody can access them whenever they need to. But they keep Shannon's book with them, like kind of tucked into a pocket.
I imagine Yasmin comes in a little later because she was up till fucking a stupid o'clock in the morning and grabs tea or coffee or some kind of hot beverage and just kind of sits very tired next to Darren, who is, I can only assume, chattering at somebody.
Darren came in, actively was like, Hey, Carol, how you doing? Good morning. Good to see you. So good. Oh, Brenda, hi. Hey, are you feeling, is the arm good? Okay, great. Hey, little guy, how are I remember, I know. And then plops immediately right next to Rory. And in the midst of everything. But yeah, I mean, more chatting more than most people in this entire room probably, and is probably conspicuous because of it, but not in relatively human measurements.
Rory is just sort of sitting there. There's like 2 mugs of like coffee. I really hope there's coffee on this. It's freaking okay. Thank you.
Second
I would
apocalypse,
hope.
if not.
Fuck. And it's just sort of like looks up at you and just goes, "Do you know everybody on the ship now? Is that a thing?"
No, I talk. That's all. I get to know people. I remember their names, and it's good. And the trick is to repeat their name, a couple times quickly, and then try to remember like one fun fact about them. It's like, well, I know that Daryl over there, that his favorite team was actually Green Bay and not the Bears, but he lives in Chicago, and now we have that rapport, and then you just kind of build from there.
What fun fact do you remember about me?
Librarian. We can talk about books. I love books. You should see my bookshelf at home. It is, just like there's a whole just segment of just Brene Brown books. But I read all the time. Audiobooks. Once I get my phone charged back up, I even still have some downloaded actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, but have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad and The Art of the Deal though? I feel like those two might be books.
That's it's a little out of date for me, it's a little icky, no thanks. I'm more, I'm about moving things forward and about kind of the latest and greatest, not so much about looking back, if you know what I mean.
I kind of like glance around the table to see if anybody around us like understands, because I'm really impressed with Darren right now. He didn't take the bait. And I'm feeling very close to him. He thinks that my being a librarian is a fun fact about me, and I feel deeply validated in this moment.
See,
if anyone is looking,
it works, baby.
Just like
it's the
they have
Darren
like the
system.
smallest smile.
The gotcha moment, if I ever saw one in my life.
But he passed, so Darren strikes again.
So I guess Aaron is gonna wake up, forget about the foot, forget about the entire thing, just like kind of like is very disoriented from where they are, like kind of like looks up, sees like the top bunk bed and gets very confused for a second, looks over, sees the wheelchair, still not clicking, and then like goes to like get up and then notices the snow globe and is like, oh, right.
All of that was real.
And kind of like looks down and like sees not a foot and like gets back, like kind of like slinks themselves back in, and it's just like, Al, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. What's up? Are you okay? Are you hurt? Did you fall?
No, I'm fine. I didn't fall. I remembered that I might need some help getting out of bed. Maybe. Are you hungry? Are you ready to eat?
Yeah, let's go eat. Elle goes to try and like use both arms and then realizes one is trapped against their chest. Fuck.
What a pair of people.
Here, okay. We're gonna do like a predator arm grip, and we're gonna pull, and we're gonna and we come up with a very convoluted, unnecessarily difficult way of putting Erin in her wheelchair.
We'll get, you know what? Next time we will get better at this. We'll get better. I'll get better at this.
Yeah. Well, like once my arm's out of the sling, we'll figure it out better.
Yeah. Yes. Because you're gonna heal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
I feel a little guilty about that, actually.
No, I love that for you. That's great.
Oh, I know, but I just... Let's go eat. That was a weird way to start the morning.
Let's just, you know what? Mm-hmm.
Do you wanna push yourself, or do you want me to help?
You know, I will do it until I get tired, maybe, and then
Yeah.
Cool thing is though, I already have a chair. Don't need to worry about grabbing a chair at the lunch table.
Silver
I
lining,
already
kid.
have one. So
The two of you head to breakfast. I will say you see Dakota and Claire and probably like Nancy and Joy. They're seen around, but they seem very closed off, very much just enveloped in their own little situations that they have. That
Taking
being
their own
said,
space.
yeah, looking over at them, like there's acknowledgement, there's smiles, there's waves. Everyone is tired, but finally safe. Yasmin, you are the last one to come up to the table. Most people have probably finished their meals at this point, but everyone's just kind of sitting together.
Yeah, I sit next to Darren with coffee, black, and whatever breakfast consists of, and just it was a long night, but it is done.
Yeah. How did the autopsy go? I mean, does it go well? Is it like a good? Was the outcome acceptable?
It was something. It will take time to really understand what it is that we found. And she kind of looks around, and Darren would probably notice or get this sense, because we've been together long enough at this point traveling, that she doesn't want to say too much in public. She says, Darren, would you like to take coffee with me outside? Yes?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it. Do you have your food? Are you good now? You should eat
Hold
first.
up a muffin or something. I don't know, whatever I've got.
Breakfast meeting. I totally get it. Totally pro. Had to take a few of those for international clients, so yeah, let's do it.
As I'm passing by Dewey, I squeeze their shoulder a little bit and say, I hope that is useful for you. That you can find good information in there.
It really is. I appreciate you and Cornbread doing this for me. Burton doing this for me.
You are doing it for us, truly.
It's really helpful to kind of find myself again, you know? I see what you're doing. I mean, you're fucking saving lives, literally, all the time.
We all have our skills. That's all. And she'll just pat you on the shoulder and continue walking. When we get outside, kind of away from people, just say, like I said, it's hard for me to say exactly what we found. We're still doing tests. We still have things to find out, but I wanted to talk to you about something. There's an American movie that I do not remember. It's something like, I have a unique set of skills. Yes? And
Not familiar with that one.
I don't know. One of my nephew showed it to me once a long time ago. But there are things that we need to figure out this puzzle, if you will.
Yeah.
that do not exist on this ship. If they are needing people to go that are able to fight and able to heal and to identify the tools that we need, I will be going. And I wanted to tell you, because we have survived some things together. And I know we have only known each other for 4 days, but you feel like a dear friend to me, Darren.
Well, I mean, first, yeah. I mean, I've you've meant a lot to me the last few days, and it's been days, and that's still very jarring. Yeah, I'm really glad to have gone through it. If I was going to go through it with anyone, I'm glad it was you, and I'm glad I didn't screw it up. But for the first thing, yeah, I mean that I figured, honestly, like that's I'm going to talk about you by talking about me. I felt like the world was meant for me, you know, like before, obviously. And that I could do whatever I wanted, and that I, you know, kind of could move, that I could, you know, everything was, you know, something that I could exist in. And this one does not. This one doesn't, and maybe that's okay. And it's I mean, it's still selfish even for me to be thinking about it in those terms, obviously, but you get it. The world's chaos, whatever. I'm sorry, the power of positivity engine is running a little light on fuel at the moment. But my point is that this is a world for you, that you're the kind of you're the person, like the world doesn't need a Darren right now. I'm happy to be here, to be clear, but that's not, the world needs you. They need Rory's, they need Dewey, like they need books, but like you have stuff to do, you know, like you're the one who can fix it, you and others, obviously, and that, like the really intense cornbread, but like I mean, like, it's that I hate it, I don't like it, obviously, but I figured that would be the case. Yeah.
Don't sell yourself short. I understand what you mean. The ability to help people in the way that I am able to do so is very important in days like these where people are getting injured and sick and what have you, but the ability to bring people happiness and optimism and plan things is invaluable in a time where everything is falling apart.
Yeah. And he reaches into a pocket in his short, awkward, you know, preppy shorts, and he pulls out a piece of paper, or like an envelope. I don't remember which. And he like reaches in and unfolds it, and is clearly super well worn, probably even smudged at this point. And he shows it to you, and it's Alex's letter. And he says, a lot of people, a lot of really good people didn't get out, right? And a lot of people we know, and so many more and I did, and I made it out, and that still really fucks me up. And it was luck, right? Like, it was luck that I made it through, that all those weird things happened, that I didn't get caught by a stray bullet or bite, or that I was surrounded by awesome people. And so it was luck. But it isn't for nothing, right? Like, I need it not to be for nothing. So I've been trying to figure out anything, and I don't have a lot to read, and so I've been reading this, and I'm so angry at Alec for having to write this thing, but I've read it a bunch. I've even read the first page, which was really filled with a lot of direct feedback, opportunities for improvement for me, that I seem pretentious, seem full of it, that he despised me at first, the usual stuff, and I am I don't know if I belong here either, but the only answer that I can come up with is just the stupid last line, which is stay positive and trust those around you now. And so that's what I'm gonna do, I guess. And I don't know what that means. I don't really know what that means. I'm losing my mind here a little bit. But like you said, I don't know. Someone needs to say something and do something. And maybe it's here, maybe it's back out there. I don't know. But I don't know. But the point is, I'm glad that you have a thing, because you're good at what you do. You're a good person. You've done more in these 5 days for other people than I have for maybe my entire life. And I guess I hope you know that, and I hope that you don't leave yet, I guess.
You were lucky to have people like me, and I was lucky to have people like you. Truly, it is hard to carry any burden alone, and simply having someone with which to share it is invaluable. Yasmin takes off the necklace that she is wearing. And she says, I know that right now it feels like you do not have a purpose, but you will find your purpose here. I will help you do that before I leave, if I can. But I will give you one for me. First, it is to stay safe here, so I do not have to worry about you. But my niece was flying in for my birthday, yes? If you see her, if one of the helicopters brings her back, give this to her. Her mother gave it to me when I left Turkey. Tell her I will see her again one way or another. And that will be enough. Yes. And she hands you the necklace.
Yeah, Darren just like silently holds out his hand and takes it, and just kind of like clasps his hand on yours and just looks at you for a moment, for a beat. And then kind of just like lets his arms drop a little bit, still holding the necklace. And then he just kind of like looks off into the sea a little bit, trying to process many feelings and whatnots. And without turning back to Yasmin, he just says, would you sit with me for a little while?
Yes. Of course.
They find a spot and sit in relative silence.
As Dewey gets kind of used to life on the ship, you kind of see them finding a new way to exist. They wake up, they go to the mess hall, they say hello to everybody. They start forming a really great relationship with both Aaron and Elle. First through the research, and then moving into like making stories kind of come to life. We find ways to kind of improve everybody's morale and inspire people. And what starts keeping them afloat is feeling so comfortable around the people that they love, especially Rory. There are some scenes of like Dewey kind of like leaving a shirt or a toothbrush or something in Rory's quarters, just like little by little, just leaving items of themselves in there. And just starting to finally heal.
I think for Rory, the next 7 days sort of look like finding ways to make themselves useful around the place. At first, it's sort of like sort of hovering around the little writers group that has sort of happened, bringing coffee when needed. Eventually, like finding like little places to go scrounge around on the ship and bring things that would be useful, like paper or pens or something. And then eventually they sort of move to asking, like, you know, people who are military affiliated, like, I'm a mechanic by trade, what can I help with around the ship? And sort of finding ways to help in that regard. I think they start leaving space for Dewey to start leaving things, and then by like the third day, they're just like, will you just please move everything in here so that way you could stop just quietly leaving things. And yeah, I think too, once a phone is charged up, they begin leaving voicemails to Lou, just sort of to talk about what's happening on the ship. And no one's gonna hear it, but it kind of helps.
Burton, you know, comes in the next day. You know, the people who come into work hungover, but they're like dressed to the nines, because if you're like super dressed, then it looks less like they're clean shaven, hair extra done, extra squared up, but like the bags under the eyes. And, you know, they kind of come to the writers group and are very apologetic of like, I shouldn't have, I was going, I wasn't thinking, I shouldn't have dropped all that on. But very quickly see that this was a good thing and that it's kind of brought people together. And you know, spend time pouring through the notes. And I think with the perception of a level of a lot of these folks would see that they're pretty lost. They throw themselves into their work, but when that's done, they're a little bit lost. And if this group would, you know, welcome them in, and they would have to take the effort, Burton would certainly start spending their, oh God damn it, Darren. Would definitely start spending time and probably being a little bit of a buffer to try and direct some of Darren's energy
onto you. where you could pass on my helpful suggestions. Not my suggestions. These are the I've talked to a lot of people, crowdsourced, one team, one
definitely.
voice.
Yeah, if you can just take really good notes, right? And you just give me those notes and I will make sure that I'll do my best. There's no stars on my shoulders. I don't make those calls. And there's just piles of Darren notes hidden inside of
Steel trap. He
Burton's
doesn't
bunch.
forget. It's like
No.
3 days ago, we brought this to you, and
Yeah, I know. So I'm also like working really hard on this research. There's lots of moving parts, and I don't know if you know this about the military, but it's kind of like the government. Like stuff moves slow. Like things happen, so you gotta.
that's why we got to work together, and I understand. Oh, please, I understand, totally respect. But if I had someone else I could talk to, that's no problem. I mean, I would still talk to you, obviously, but
I appreciate all your attention and kind and your motivation and is just looking for help because they no longer have a reaper to get them out of these situations. But yeah, they throw themselves into their work, and then usually it's not even late at night. They've fallen into that weird schedule where like 2 p.m. is other people's 2 a.m. So they've been like in the books and working and testing until like 2 p.m. and then come out 12-hour shift and just kind of spend time with you all.
I think Dewey would be that person, your new Reaper, of like diverting Darren's attention. Having learned how to like very carefully kind of insert themselves and then just passing off to either Elle or Aaron, like, you take him for a while.
And
It's definitely past to Darren.
how dare you? I do not need
It's
a
because you're
babysitter.
so loved.
Cornbread will stand there and smile and listen to you talk and make all the suggestions. The minute it's like, how do we make the change? It's like, oh, sugar cubes. I don't know what to do with this.
It's not fair because Aaron's the slowest one, so Aaron can't like walk away as fast as everybody else. So Aaron always gets stuck talking to Darren.
But Aaron is also the most tactfully honest of us, so that's for good cause. Darren, I think, will learn a lot from Aaron.
You see from the same camera angle multiple shots over and over and over of Darren walking into the mess hall, different outfits every day, or different combinations of the same like 4 pieces of clothing. Let's not get silly here. We're rationing. And each time he is pointing at people, he's calling out names. He's, just kind of like chatting with people. And you see a non-zero amount of eye rolls and of just like people avoiding his gaze. But there is conversation there. And, and there's, even if it's just a brief hello, if it's a whatever, more in-depth thing, oops, I forgot to eat food because I was talking to this person, whatever. And it's just every day. You see, if there's 7 days, you see 7 flashes of Darren doing this every day. And eventually it gets to the point where like, Darren, I'm imagining a scene of Darren like holding a clipboard that he scrounged from somewhere, and is speaking to a military person super professionally, super kindly, super collaboratively, about some ideas for improvement and to improve morale, and just to kind of make things a little bit more comfortable for everyone, just to make us all a little bit stronger of a team.
Elle spends a lot of time with Dewey, pouring through the research, and with Aaron and with Rory. And I think at some point tries to bring Rory into maybe not necessarily the research part of it, but maybe just like write about your feelings or write about what you experienced or what you miss or what you want, and just tries to get them to join the writing in a different way. But and starts to talk to Dewey also about like getting all the kids on the ship into that too, so they're not like fully internalizing everything. this whole experience has opened like a motherly, big sibling-ish energy in them that they didn't know they had, so they're trying to figure out what to do with that. And writing is the only way they kind of know how to make connections with people, so that's kind of what they're going to. But at night they don't sleep terribly much. And they've been kind of turning their dead cell phone over and over and over and over in their hands. Because the last time it was on and the last time they used it, they thought their wife was safe and fine in New York, and then she found out that it was everywhere and not just here. So eventually, probably at the end of the week, also looking pretty bedraggled, I think she tries to go to Burton and pull them aside. I know you're really, really busy and you're dealing with a lot of shit. So when you have the energy to talk about this stuff,
Yeah, you want a private spot, or
yeah, we can go up on the deck or something.
and just for drama, I want to say that kind of without thinking. Burton's like, "Oh, come on, I gotta. You drink? I got
Yes.
a bottle of."
God, yes.
So they'll, without even thinking, lead Elle to their quarters and kind of throw open the bunk, and you see a room that's more comfortable than what the survivors have, but it is full of what is obviously someone else's things, and full-size mattress. And they, without even kind of thinking, find two fake crystal glasses and pour whiskey and hand it over, and don't even seem to really realize.
Are there any pictures of you two? Or is it just someone else's stuff?
There are pictures, and none of them, if you saw them, you wouldn't necessarily think that's a couple.
Yeah.
They were both too guarded with their identities for that. But you do see a woman just a little bit bigger than Reaper, who is just clearly hard as nails. But there's just a couple photos where Burton's smiling at the camera and she's looking at Burton, and you can see her eyes are softer. Yeah,
I think-
here. It's sorry, it's a bit messy. Take a seat.
No, it's fine. And Elle takes the drink and doesn't drink it and kind of holds it in their lap and stares at the picture of Burton and this woman with the softer eyes.
Sorry, I'm
don't
still
have to
kind of
explain.
processing some of.
I'm sorry.
What can I do you for?
Seems like a cruel question now.
Ain't nothing more cruel than what's out there.
I don't know if I agree with that. Are they... I don't know how much you know. Are they planning on going after any other cities, going to check any other cities, going to look for survivors anywhere else?
I think we're not. I mean, this isn't exactly the military HQ.
Right.
Its efforts are all over, but limited bodies, limited supplies.
Of course.
You missing someone?
It's my own fault that I don't know where she is.
Okay, now
So
let me just stop you right there. That out there, I don't know whose fault that is, but it's not yours.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about being a coward.
I know you won't believe me, but I do know a thing or two about that.
Company. Just if you hear any information about anyone going to New York, keep me in mind. I've never shot a gun in my life. I sit behind a computer most days, sat behind a computer most days. I have a broken arm. But if people are going to New York, I'm going to New York.
Tell you what, you give me a name and I'll make up a story. See if I can run it up the chain.
I would really appreciate that.
I don't want to get your hopes up. I can't make any promises, but I know what it's like to. Closure's real important.
Knowing the truth is far superior to whatever I've been imagining. Amy Valdez.
Amy Valdez.
If you hear
She,
me.
I mean, just I'm not the best liar. I'm gonna be like square. So she anything, any science doctrine back
She
any.
was a vet.
That'll work.
Veterinarian,
I can work
not
with that. I'll make something up. That's an easier sell for me. Yeah. That'll work.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Therein lies the cruel nature of my question.
They kind of look around the room. We were trying to get folks here back when worst part is she went out taking care of me before she went out and took Kara.
Ain't that always the way?
And I'm such a coward, I can't even move her stuff out of the way. So if I can have any part of bringing someone back so they don't have to feel this.
Remembering's not coward. It's only been a couple days.
I know you didn't know her, so you don't know how hard as nails this woman was. She'd be real hell mad at me for not, taking better care of myself, but don't think I'm there yet.
Well, you got people to lean on. You're not alone. Much as it feels like it.
I was real proud of being a big damn hero and bringing a couple folk back. Didn't really expect some folk to take care of me, so I'm real grateful. I'll see what I can do.
Girl.
Every day, probably at exactly the same time, Yasmin goes to whoever's in charge of coordinating survivors. Whoever is running that booth gets really used to seeing her. And she asks every day about Hazan, her niece, about New York, where her sister and nephew and her other niece are. She asks about Istanbul, about all of them every day at the same time. And then she goes and she works, and much like how Burton was drowning themselves in work, she does the exact same thing. She'll go from the lab where Burton is there, and they work probably in mostly companiative silence, maybe trading the odd story, but once they're done there, Burton goes to hang out with the group. Yasmin goes and does doctor shit. She takes care of whoever's injured, the sick, soldiers going out, coming back. And she makes a goddamn nuisance of herself to anyone who will listen, that she is here to help. and that anything that they need to eradicate this, she will do. And she will pull out her work at the hospital. She will pull out her military history. She will take whatever tests, sign up for whatever the fuck she needs to rise to that chain of command, because she started as, a med student in a foreign country speaking a foreign language. She knows how to talk to leaders, talk to people in power, and get her voice heard. And really, those 7 days are just her pushing to be, I don't want to say necessary, but definitely feeling that she knows that her skills are very, very unique. And she doesn't want them to go unused, because she knows that if she doesn't, she will feel such incredible guilt. And that all of the sacrifices will not have been worth it. And she thinks of Alec, and she thinks of Lou and all of the other people that have died, and she wants to make every single death matter.
Towards the end of the week, several days later, after kind of all of our scenes, Yasmin is getting up, is like about to leave her room to go start her day, including, checking on who has come, do lab work, do whatever. And like, as she is about to grab the door handle, she hears a knock on the door.
She opens it because it's probably like stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And it is stupid o'clock in the morning. And on the other side is Darren. And he doesn't say a word probably this whole time. And he looks at you, and like he doesn't even give you a moment. He just like shoves his hand through the doorway, and the necklace dangles from his hand. And then if you looked at his face to tell him, if in case he was giving it up or something like that, you could see that he has the biggest smile on his face and is like crying. And then he sees that you see that, and then he opens the door all the way, and your niece is standing next to him.
Yasmin doesn't say a word. She just jumps on the kid. I mean, I say the kid, she's in university. But she just... Darren hasn't seen her, like, fully just let it go in the full week, probably. It's just been whatever. But she just sobs. And there is no more.
A few more days pass by. And Elle, there is a day where you're maybe sitting in your quarters, sitting on your bed, and you hear a little knock at your door.
You see Burton standing there, and their eyes are wide, and they have kind of a somewhat that doctor look when they're trying to like not have an expression. I got a question. This might be strange, but are you do you write songs? Do you do songs? Do you do music? Is that a thing you do?
I was more of a playwright. I mean, I dabbled in songwriting, but I wasn't great.
I got a message for L from Amy V, and I want to make sure it was maybe it just said she made it safe to the base. She's safe. The song was beautiful, and she hopes you're okay.
Thank you.
Do you need a minute, or do you need a hug?
I need a minute. And Elle really slowly closes the door and finally plugs the phone in and waits for it to turn on. And opens the text messages, has no idea if they're gonna send. And just types like 3 different messages. The first one is, I got your message. The second one is, I'm coming to get you. The third one is, I love you. Please let me figure this out.
And as they're sent, you see that they send. You see that they're delivered. And as the notification turns to red, that is the end of Outbreak. Undead. Death toll.